The Cartoon Network Lost episode mod just dropped, and it basically covers a few different creepypasta stories and some creepy stories that actually made it onto Cartoon Network. In this video, I'm going to explain the backstory for each, but fair warning, these are a little bit on the darker side. Now, the first person that we see in this mod is Rigby, and this version of him is for the creepypasta called Mordecai's Madness. And I believe this was created by Mr. Gruesome back in 2020. The story deals with what happened after Mordecai lost the love of his life, who we all know as Margaret. She was basically coming home from college one night and a drunk driver ran her off the road, and unfortunately, Margaret was not able to actually get out of the car before it caught on fire and blew up. Of course, once Mordecai got the news, he was absolutely devastated, and over time, he fell into a deep depression to the point where he basically shut out all his friends. And of course, in his depressed state, he even started to slack off at work. This of course caused Benson to fire him, but Mordecai didn't really care because his new goal in life was to find a drunk driver and bring him to justice. 2 years had passed and no one had heard from Mordecai, but Mordecai did find out who the drunk drivers were. It turned out that all his friends from the park actually ended up getting drunk one night, and they are the ones that drove Margaret off the road 2 years previous. His friends were just so crappy that they pretended that they had no idea what happened and completely lied to Mordecai's face. And this is when Mordecai decided that he was going to ruin their lives, or more accurately, take their lives. Mordecai ended up going back to the park and basically ended up taking out each of his friends one by one. The cutscene in the mod actually represents his final kill, which is against Rigby. He basically pulls out a blade and goes for Rigby's neck, but I'm pretty sure the cutscene kind of gets the point across pretty well. The next character we see is Gumball, and this version of him is from the Grieving. The story revolves around a young man that was watching Cartoon Network one night, and he saw that there was a new episode of The Amazing World of Gumball coming out. And since the boy had nothing better to do, he decided to watch it. It turns out that this episode was nothing like the original show. Even the artwork and character designs were different. And just like in the mod here, the episode starts with Gumball actually crying in the corner of a classroom. We find out that the reason that he's crying is because both of his siblings were actually murdered and their bodies were found out in the forest. And in the end, he also ends up taking his own life because he can't deal with all the pain and grief. We later learned that the original creator of this episode tried to bury it so that no one could ever see it. They had created it to make fun of a co-worker that had lost his son to the attacks of a serial killer, which is beyond messed up to begin with. And I guess at some point the creator stopped being jerks and realized that they could never actually show this, probably for their own reputation and because, as I said, it's just a scandalous, despicable thing to do in the first place. Now, unknown to them though, apparently the serial killer that took out their friend's son ended up getting a hold of this tape somehow and was able to get it to air on Cartoon Network, basically traumatizing the main character of the story and of course the father if he's ever unlucky enough to see this video be published. The next character is from 32 Minutos, which is based off a television series called 31 Minutes that originated in Chile. The red rabbit doll thing is called Juan Carlos, and this scene in the mod represents when he is at his actual friend's funeral. In the original video, Juan tries to bring his friend back to life using some type of devil ritual, but he ends up summoning some kind of demon instead. It's kind of a weird video and it's all in Spanish, so maybe you can watch it yourself and have a better understanding of it than I did. I'll make sure to link the Walton Files channel down in the description. In this next song, we see Mordecai hiding behind a tractor, and this scene is from the Terror Tales of the Park 3, which was a segment in regular show. It is specifically from Muscle Man's horror story. The story revolves around Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost, and basically they're at a farm waiting to smash some pumpkins. There was a sign saying that they can smash whatever they wanted, but they had to leave these two pumpkins alone because they're a couple. And instead of deterring the boys, the signs actually made them want to smash the pumpkins more. So they threw rocks at the pumpkin wife and then jumped on his head. Now the episode gets interesting when the High Five Ghost goes for the husband pumpkin. But before the ghost can really do anything, the husband comes to life and vows revenge for his wife, turning the ghost into a pumpkin. The boys started running through the cornfield in order to escape the killer pumpkin, and that is when Mordecai hides behind the tractor like we see in the mod here. It was kind of funny, Mordecai ended up thinking that he actually escaped, but the pumpkin killer ends up finding him and turns him into a pumpkin before smashing him just like they did his wife.
What do you mean by that?
This next one doesn't have a deep backstory. These guys right here are from the episode of Mad where Mordecai ends up punching one of the guys. I don't even know if people still remember the show Mad. I'm pretty sure it had quite a few seasons, so some of you may have actually watched it when you were younger. The next song is based off a 2-minute animation created back in 1988 by a film student named Maxwell Adam. It is titled Billy and Mandy in Trepidation of the Skull and Ute. In the actual animation, there are 2 children, of course Billy and Mandy. Mandy basically convinces Billy to let her drill a hole in his head so that his brain will have more space. And there really isn't a whole lot more to it than that. It's just a crazy, very short animation. I'll make sure to link it down if you want to check it out for yourself. This next song is based on a comic called Steven Universe Gone Wrong, and the comic is actually really good. The song is specifically based on the first part of the comic where Spinell takes out Steven in a fit of rage. Spinell was basically mad at the fact that Pink left her to come to this rock, as she calls it, so she ends up destroying Steven, and I'm pretty sure she even like chops off one of his arms. We don't get to see their fight in the first part of the comic, but if you read on, you'll see that Pink almost smashes Spinell's gym. I won't spoil any more though, just in case some of you want to actually go through and read the comic for yourself. I'm pretty sure there's like 6 episodes if you want to check it out. The last character we see in the mod is the Clown of Gumball, and I think this guy is from an October event a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure it premiered on like the Cartoon Network UK version. And it was basically where like this creepy clown would pop up on the screen, and then there would be a prompt asking the children like, hey, did you see him? It was definitely more for like younger children, obviously. And more specifically, this version of the clown that we see in the mod is from this small segment here where we see Darwin and Gumball actually drawing. We see that Darwin actually draws this weird clown, and then we actually see him pop up in the window right here. I think the reason he looks so creepy is that people have started to really associate him with being like a kidnapper or something that simply wants to do the boys harm. So now a lot of the images that we see on him look more demonic. And of course, if we're being honest, a lot of people are just really creeped out by clowns. Now that we've discussed all the characters in the actual mod, let's go ahead and talk about boyfriend and girlfriend and how they kind of got into this situation. And I think to start off with that, there is a recording that's on the actual director of the mod's channel, and it goes like this.
Hi, I'm Adam. I have 37 years old. I work on the Cartoon Network team. We had plans for a long time for episodes, like regular show, Amazing World of Gumball, Adventure Time, and more. But they were rejected because they were considered cursed. But time passed, and they came true, and they're making people die. So we need your help. To who's watching this recording, please, we need you to forget and delete this, please.
Now, even though we don't get to see it in the mod, the reason I believe that boyfriend and girlfriend are in this situation is because they probably stumbled upon these lost episodes, and instead of like just trying to forget about them or hide them away, they are actively engaging with them. Anybody who's been in the FNF community for a while knows that boyfriend is basically going to battle anybody that comes across his path. It doesn't matter if they're a monster, if they're cursed, if they're a ghost, it doesn't matter. He's going to battle them. And I think that pretty much the same is true here. And it sounds like since a lot of these lost episodes are cursed, now boyfriend and girlfriend probably have to go through like the whole gauntlet and just battle all of these before they can actually shut the door on this particular mod. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here. Subscribe today to become a member of the Orseofkorse, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace.